Hello book friends and welcome to my garden. Today I'm gonna be doing a Romantasy recommendation video, and I was thinking about doing it outside, but I think it is going to be too cold. But it is really romantic, so I just wanted to start the intro out here, and then I'm gonna go inside because yeah, it's cold. It's -degrees Celsius. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but anyways, enjoy the view, and I'm just gonna go inside in a bit. I did do a Romantasy video last year, and I wanted to update it a little bit because I did read a few extra this year, so why not? Okay, so I am inside and it feels so much better. The snot was like, it kept on dripping, you know. It doesn't work outside right now. I don't know, my nose is... Okay, TMI, too much information. Let's move on to the books and not talk about snot. That is what you call it in English, right? Anyways, I am from Denmark, if you didn't know that, so sometimes I do say weird words. They come out of my mouth. I cannot control it. Let's get into the books, because that's what we are here for. And I think I'm going to start from like worst to the best Romantasy books that I have read throughout the last couple of years. I'm not going to be talking about, Twilight. This is also paranormal. But anyways, I read this book many times when I was a teenager. It is so cringe today, I guess. But I mean, I loved it when I was a teenager. But let's talk about the books that I have read the last couple of years. And I have read some YA romantasy and some, what's it called, new adult romantasy. And some of the books I think are more categorized as contemporary romance, but there's magic to them, so that's why I included them. So it's not going to be a very clean list of romantasy books. It's going to be a bit of everything. Paranormal, contemporary, contemporary. What did I say before? I lost the word again. Anyways, and if you didn't know, Romantasy is a mix of romance and fantasy. Two very nice categories. So, the worst one, and it's not that bad, but it's called A Song of Wrath and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. And it's a YA Romantasy series. It's a duology, and I only read the first book in that series. So, A Wrath and Ruin is inspired by African folklore. And you do follow Princess Karina and Malik, who is a refugee. Karina's mother gets murdered, and she learns that she has to kill a king to bring her mother back with magic. She decides at this solsticia contest that there is, I cannot remember if it's like every year or once in a while, that the winner of that contest is going to marry her, and then she has a king, because her mother just got murdered, and then she will be the queen and there will be a king, and then she can, like, and Malik, he anyways, because of something that happened, he is unexpectedly, I'm not saying that right either, am I? Anyways, he enters this contest. He does this because I think it's a demon, kidnapped his little brother, and he has to win this contest to get his brother back from that demon. So I do think that the world building in this book is very original. It's very nice with the inspiration from West African folklore. There was a lot of elements that I liked about it, and also the context element of the book was nice as well. But at other times, the story felt dragged out. And also the romance between these two, because obviously there's a little romance going on. I didn't feel it quite as much. I just didn't get it, the way that they meet, and that they just fell in love because of those very random meetings. It didn't really make any sense to me, and that's why I dislike this as romantasy. So if you're just going into this with a more fantasy set of mind, maybe it would be a better book, but the romance element to the first book I didn't get at all. Maybe it's just going to be a 2.5, 3 stars. I don't know. Let's move on to the next one. And that is called the Infernal Devices series. It's a trilogy, and this is also YA, and I will say YA has not been my favorite genre when it comes to romantasy. And this is by Cassandra Clare, and the Infernal Devices is a prequel to Shadowhunters? No, I cannot remember. I was recommended reading the prequel because a lot of people think that was the best in this whole universe of the series. So I did that. Let me tell you, I think this was emotional overload. There's a love triangle here between Tessa, Jim, and Will. It's set in this Victorian era. That was honestly quite interesting. I do like that part. And some of the world building I also did like in this series. But overall, it was just a feeling of, girl, pick one. So yeah, this love triangle. And the writing is really trying to manipulate your feelings into feeling a lot. And I just didn't. Like, you're supposed to feel really sad for Jim. And you're also supposed to be like, oh my God, is Will a bad guy or is he a good guy? It was a lot. But maybe because it was YA, it would have worked really well if I were to be 15 when I was reading this book. But I was definitely in my 30s. And yeah, no, it doesn't work then. Not for me, at least. I really think that the story weakened when Tessa could just fall so deeply and so fast in love with both Jim and Will. There's no real build-up for it. There's no yearning, there's no good scenes, and I just felt so forced. I definitely enjoyed the fantasy elements to the story a lot more than the romance elements. But it's not like the best world building either. There's just not much to this. I think a lot of people actually have loved this series, and I'm feeling a little bit bad that I'm like, no. I cannot say that many positive things about this series. Have you read it? Let me know what you thought. And also the ending, right? Ugh, I hate that. I don't want to spoil, but that was no. No. So let's move on to Letters of Enchantment series. This is a duology, and the first book is called Divine Rivals. I think that's what I call the series usually. And it's by Rebecca Ross. And I will definitely say the first half of Divine Rivals was so good. That was a 5-star. The romance between Iris and Roman there was really good. The yearning was really good. Iris is a journalist, Roman too. And this book really has World War II vibes to it. And this war between the gods that's going on. Iris decides to become a war correspondent, and Roman too. And Iris is taking this job because she wants to find her brother who has joined the war between the gods. And honestly, this setup sounds really, really great. And the world building in the first half of book 1 was really good. I like that. And then it just doesn't expand. It felt like the author couldn't really open the story up. That would be too much work. So she decided to, I don't know, close it down a little bit. And that made the rest of the series a little bit vague. And I would have loved this series if it had been longer and the world building had expanded a bit more. If we're going to talk about the romance elements to this book, the first half, again, great. And then it just became so melodramatic in the rest of the series. It was just so, oh, Iris, I love you. And then all of these poetic words that I do not have in my vocabulary. Yeah, that was a bit too much, way too much. They have these two typewriters and they're connected. And at first they don't know that they're writing to each other. But these letters just gets more and more melodramatic, more and more poetic. And that just seems to take over so much of the story. I do like romance. I just don't want it to be so over the top. Overall, a 3.5 stars. I think the story is also categorized as YA. I don't think I said that in the beginning. So let's move on to the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. And this is a YA romantasy series. This one is all about fairies. And you follow Jude. And the love interest is called Carden, but you don't follow his perspective. A lot of the other books that I mentioned are dual point of view. But this one, you just follow Jude. But I think there's a, what's it called, when it's not directly part of the series, but there's like an extra book that you can read where you follow Carden's perspective. I haven't read that one. So Jude is a human, and she has a twin sister as well. And then her big sister is like half human, half fairy. Her half-sister's father is kidnapping all of them. And they all grow up in this fairy world. It's really a hard place to grow up. This world is really manipulative. Just imagine bad fairies all over. Not sweet, nice fairies, but you know, the annoying kind. They go to school there, and there's just a lot of drama. And Carden is a prince in this world. There's a lot of political drama as well. And some part of it were really interesting. But I also felt like the story was a bit, I don't know, choppy. The sentences were quite short. And a lot of the things that were introduced really quickly. And there was just, you know, a lot happening. So I don't know if I really liked this way the world building was introduced. There was just a lot going on, but some elements I really did enjoy. The romance part I felt like could have been so much better, but I don't think the story was boring. At times the pacing was really fast. The romance, I just wish that that would have been done differently because that felt forced as well. Carden and Jude are enemies, so it is a enemies to lovers story. I just wish that we got more of Carden's yearning for Jude, that we saw a bit more of it instead of it being like, I was mean to you the whole way through, so didn't you pick up on that I liked you? That's the vibe. He's bullying her, picking on her, hurting her because he likes her. I am not a sucker for that. I'm not. But yeah, good elements to this and bad elements. I didn't like Jude either. She really liked to fight and be a warrior and stuff like that. And she just wasn't that empathetic. A 3.5 stars. Also YA, maybe that's why I didn't like it that much. They are not my thing anymore, and I should stop reading these books. I just finished Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, and this is part of the Grisha-verse series. This is the first one in the timeline. There's like 3 series in this, and I think you can read them all separately. You don't have to start with this one. That's at least how I understood it. I think Six of Crows is really popular, but I don't think I want to continue. There were 3 books in this first series. And in this one, you do follow Alina Starko. And in this world, Grishas has magical powers, and then the humans doesn't. But the lands in this world are ruled by humans, and a lot of people are fearing Grishas. So Grishas has been not treated very nicely and have been hunted down and stuff like that. And then you have the Darkling, who is a Grisha. He has gathered a lot of Grishas and made them into an army. And there's this thing going on in this country, this dark thing that has monsters in it. And it's in the ocean, and if you want to cross the ocean to go trade with that side, you have to cross this dark hole, or whatever to call it. You risk being attacked by these monsters. So they use Grishas to help getting through this dark hole whenever they do want to make these trades at one of these journeys where they have to cross this black hole. Alina learns that she has a special power too. She has the light inside of her. And then the Darkling is getting really interested in her. As the romance part of this series, I didn't know where it wanted to go. Was it the Darkling? Was it Malik? Or was it Nikolai? It got more clear at the end. But I was like, huh? At many points, because it just wasn't clear. And I was like, is it supposed to be unclear? Is there like a big secret? And that's going to be such a nice plot twist? No, that was just a bit weird. The romance just becomes messy and directionless. I just think I needed it to be more clear, because the person that she does like is just not very nice a big chunk of the time. But in book 1, I will say that book was really good. But then in book 2 and 3, it just dragged out. The pacing was really slow, and it just felt like there was just so much emotional drama there that was just explored way too much. So yeah, book 2 and 3 was really hard to get through. So overall, I think I'm gonna land on a 3.5 stars as well, because I did like book 1, but book 2 and 3, not so much. And if you have read the Six of Crows series and you like that one, like, is it worth a read? Is it much better than Shadow and Bone? I would really like to know that. But yeah, a 3.5 stars for this book. Let's move on to An Ember in the Ashes series by Sabba Tahir. And this is also YA, but I think it's a little bit better than the other ones. And in this one, you do follow Leigh, who goes undercover as a slave to save her brother, who has been kidnapped. And her parents were murdered while her brother got kidnapped. Then you also follow Elias, who is a soldier, and he wants to get out of being a soldier. He wants to get out of this very violent life that he has going for him. He's a very prestigious soldier. I really do like the world building in this book. The stakes are really high from book 1. I do like the romance between Leigh and Elias. They help each other. The more that they help each other, the more they fall for each other. But this is the right way to do it, definitely. So I can definitely feel their romance a lot more than the other books. The scenes where they're meeting and stuff like that, that was just so much more romantic than the other books, and the yearning was really nice. I will say this book is really war heavy, and it was quite a lot to get through all of the 4 books, because the books are also really thick as well, and it gets to be a little bit much with all of the books. It can be a little bit emotionally draining reading it. I think some people would absolutely love it, and I have heard many people giving this whole series 5 stars, and I can see why. For me, it's just a little bit too much with all the war. It was a long thing to get through. That's just what I wanted to say. But overall, the world building was really nicely done, and the romance was good. So yeah, I think it's going to be like a 4 star, because the political landscape is really layered. There are plot twists there that were really good. So although the pacing does vary a lot, the storytelling is really consistently intense. So yeah, I was really hooked, but it's not a light series to get through. The next series is a little bit different. It's called the Tearling series by Erika Johansen. And I think this is more categorized as new adult fantasy with a twist of romance. But I included it anyways because there's romance in this. It's not as straightforward as some of the other books. But yes, I included it anyway. And in this one, you do follow Kelsey. And she is going to be the queen. She has been kept away from court to protect her from being, because a lot of people want to take the throne. But when she turns 18, she is being brought back to be the queen, because the previous queen has died. And now is the time for her to take over the throne. And this country is at war with another country. And the overall book is really war heavy, and there's a lot of trigger warnings in this book, so please go check them out. There's a lot of depth to this book as well, and it really does explore morality. There's also a mix of like fantasy and dystopian vibes, which was really interesting. And I did like the flashbacks or flash forwards that there were to this book. It was really confusing, but that was quite interesting how this book mixed up a world really close to our world and then this fantasy world. And I was like, how is this going to connect? But it did. And the ending was a bit, I can see why some people would really hate that ending. And for some people, it would be like, meh. And I was like, I think this is all right. But it wasn't the best ending, I will say. Overall, I was really gripped by the story, but it was also a little bit long to get through because it was so war heavy. Kelsey, she is badass as well. She has some good sides to her. She has some bad sides to her as well. The romance, like I said, is not that straightforward. It's not like Shadow and Bone, where I was like, what do you want? What do you want me to feel? I definitely felt something in this book. And I also felt like as a reader, you were like taught a lesson. It sounds really weird, but yeah, read it and then you know what I mean. So this is a little bit different. I think it's going to be like a 4-star. If you're not into war heavy books, don't read this book. But if you're into a good world building, fantasy world building with war to it, and where women are in the center and not just men, this could be a nice book for that. And with a little twist of romance to it as well. And let's move on to Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. And this is definitely such a fairy tale story. You do follow Miriam, who is the daughter of a moneylender. And her father is doing very poorly and he cannot pay his debt as well. So she kind of like takes over. Miriam's a little bit badass as well. But then this Starrick king comes along and he finds out that Miriam can turn silver into gold. So he gets really interested in her. You also do follow other characters in this book, two other girls. This book is not going really strong on the romance part. It's a bit more laid back and you have to read a bit more into things. And that really gives this fairy tale vibe to it as well. I had to sit a little bit and be like, what did I think of this writing style? But I really did enjoy it. It is really different from other fantasy, romantasy books, you know, with the pacing. And this world just feels really enchanted in a very good way. So this book is definitely different, but there's a lot of romance there still, just not going so strong with the descriptions of the romance. I don't know. Does that make any sense? But go give it a read. I think this book is going to be a 4-star for me. And the next one is called Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. So this book was a lot better than Divine Rivals. This is a standalone fantasy. And this also really reminded me of Naomi Novik's Spinning Silver book, because this also really has that fairy tale vibe. And in this one, you do follow Clementine. And Clementine and her father have this job where they are fighting nightmares at every new moon. This country has been cursed with nightmares at every new moon. And then you have these people that go out to fight them because they have some magical powers to them, so they can do that. One day they get challenged for their jobs and they lose and they have to move to the big city. And there Clementine is coming up with this idea, because the two men that challenged them, they were brothers, and one of the brothers is staying at the village and the other one lives in the big city. And Clementine is like, okay, I'm going to be your apprentice and you don't know who I am because I'm disguising myself. Obviously, they have a little romance going on, and their chemistry was really, really nice. And then you mix it up with this whole fairy tale vibe as well. This was really sweet with the romance, but not overly done. But I like the yearning and I really like the chemistry, but it's not going that strong with the romance. But overall, it was really nice. And I think this book was a bit more focused than the Divine Rivals series. So yeah, Rebecca Ross can also write really good books as well. So let's move on to the Surviving Trace series by Calia Read. And this is a adult romance series with time travel in it. And that's why I included it on this list, because there's some magical part to the series. And it was also a 5-star for me. You know, it's always nice to talk about 5 stars. I will say this is extremely spicy at times. It's not a sweet little romance. There is, stuff going on in this series. So if you're not into that, I wouldn't read it. I am not here for the spice as well. It's a little too much. But the romance, the plot was really good. I just really love time traveling mixed with romance. That's just so nice. But anyways, you follow Serene. And Serene has this antique shop. And she's like from our day. And then she gets these old pictures from 1912 in. And she's like studying them. And oh, that's really nice, whatever. And then she just gets sucked back to 1912, where she finds herself at Etienne's estate. And apparently Serene looks exactly like Etienne's wife, who's also called Serene. Naturally, she's a little bit scared, like what is going on? And now she just has to survive in 1912. The romance between Serene and Etienne, that was just so good. That was really nicely built up, you know, it was done in the right way. This series is a trilogy and I loved all of the books. The pacing was just really, really nice. Yeah, go read it if you can handle, you know, what I talked about before. And then I have Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and this is more paranormal romance where you follow vampires and werewolves, and you follow Misery and Love, who is getting married because this convenient marriage would maybe help store the peace between the vampires and the werewolves. The way that they meet and the way that they're going to live together, this is just right, you know, this is how you fall for each other. I mean, I don't condone arranged marriages, I just want to put that out there, but I could just definitely see why these two would fall in love compared to, you know, some of the other books that I talked about. Their chemistry was just so nice. Both of the characters are really lovable as well. I think that is really important to me, apparently. And I also do like a vampire werewolf thing. It's a nice flashback to my teenage years, you know. Is it categorized as new adult? It's not YA, and there's also spice in this book. And there was this really weird scene, nodding scene. If you have read it, you know that was weird. But anyways, overall, I really did enjoy this book. And there's a book 2 out, and I really want to read that as well. So I'm hoping that I will get to read that in 2026. And let's move on to Sarah J. Maas, a really famous romantasy author. And I have read Throne of Glass and Acotar, and both of the series I really do love. But I will say Throne of Glass is more of a fantasy series for me, and then Acotar is the romantasy series. But there's a lot of romance in Throne of Glass as well, and you do follow a lot of characters in Throne of Glass, and it's such a long series, like 11 books, but I will say it wasn't dragged out. It needed to be 11 books, you know? And that's what Sarah J. Maas can do, at least for me. Her books doesn't feel dragged out at any point. It's just exciting all the way through. So, I mean, she is doing such a great job with her books. I think for some people, they are definitely too much. It just works for me. I don't know. It really does. I will say in Throne of Glass, I thought that the main character's romance was going in a completely different direction than it did. And I can just see that so many other people, when they're starting this series, have the same thoughts as I did. And I just couldn't let that go. I was like, you are meant to be together. But there were so many other romances that I did like in the series. Anyways, it was really good. The world building was just, you know, really great. And then the Acotar series is just the romantasy series for me. Like, that was so good. It's also spicy. I don't think there was that much spice in Throne of Glass, as I recall. I think there was a little bit, but no way near Acotar. That was a bit more, you know. Anyways, the romance in this series and also the world building was just so great. And the plot twist, I love that so much. For some people, I have heard that they had to get through book 1. That was a bit more dragged out for them. They didn't really quite get the hype, and then they read book 2 and they're like, okay, I'm in. For me, I still love book 1, and I also love this shock value that I got from book 1 and from book 2. And I was so manipulated. I did not see things clearly. I don't want to spoil much more. I got surprised. It wasn't obvious for me, and I think that's really why I love this book so much as well. I think if I read it again, I would be more like, okay, there was a clue and there was a clue here. And I will say the Acotar series, that's just some of the best romance that I have ever read. Book 2, that's just so good. And I think so many people have said that on booktube. That book 2 was just, ooh, the romance there, perfect. I didn't really explain anything about the plot, but the world building is just so big. Go read it. And then I just read From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read the first 3 books, and I think there's like 4 books out, and it's not finished yet. So I'm hoping to get through more of the series in 2026. Usually I don't like to start series before they're finished, but I did anyways. I have heard so many great things about this from Goodreads. And in this one, you do follow this maiden puppy. She is the chosen one. That's what she's been told. And she has to be pure for the gods. So she's kept under strict control. She's not allowed to talk with anybody or be engaged in any activity that is going on at this castle. She just has to be pure. No one is allowed to see her face. And then she gets this new bodyguard, Hawk. He's a bit of a hottie. And things are starting to happen. Does she really want to sacrifice herself for the gods? And I will also say later in the books, these paranormal elements are introduced as well. At first I was like, this is just a clean fantasy world building, but then you have these paranormal elements going on as well, and that was a bit, I've never tried that before, but it worked. In book 2 and 3 there was a lot of explaining of the world building, and I think that was necessary, but the pacing got a little bit slower in book 2 and 3. So book 1 was definitely a 5-star for me, and then book 2 and 3, I think they were like a 4-star for me, but I think the next books in the series is going to be a 5-star as well, or at least I'm hoping. I think this is also categorized as new adult romantasy. That was all of the books that I had for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I do like romantasy. I don't know if it's one of my favorite genres anymore because so many of them are letting me down. Some of them are just quite fun, and some of them just live rent-free in my heart forever. I think I have to see if I can find more books like, the Acotar or From Blood and Ash. I have seen books going around that should be really great as well. They are just not finished yet. So I am waiting a little bit to read them. I hope that you find some inspiration and that I will see you in another video. Take care. Bye.